Hey guys, Bradu. I'm back after our action-packed episode last night. Um, we left on a little bit of a cliffhanger. Not really, but kind of. Nura never found a way to make it back up to the group, which I realize now I dropped the ball on finding a way for her to do that. I had a couple ideas, and in the heat of the battle, I kind of forgot. And I was like, man, she can't climb up. But anyway, I do have an idea now. So at the end of the last episode, she says, "Guys, you're never gonna believe what's down here. You got to come see this." So what we have, though, two dead members, Renariel and Krell, our first casualties. Thane is actually still paralyzed for his paralyzation is an hour. So that's not going to end unless, well, let's see. That's not going to end right away. The battle, even though it dragged on forever, it wasn't an hour-long battle. So he essentially is still out for a while. Orgo is slightly wounded. Abbott is very wounded. Nura is slightly wounded. So I think the very first thing we're going to do is roll a random encounter check for Nura while she's down there. Okay, so on a 1, there's an encounter down there. Like right as this battle is wrapping up. and we have an encounter. So right away something's going to happen. Okay, I didn't plan this. I'm winging it. So what is it going to be? Let's find out. Now I actually would have... I would actually use a completely different... No, I'm just going to go with the chart that I've got. So is it going to be... Okay, I think I can work with this. Oh, I see. Okay, so we're going to switch to Nura's point of view. She's down here, and there's some sort of giant, like, magical glyph circle on the ground. So she's saying, guys, get down here. Orgo is going to start... No, Abbott is going to start descending using a grappling hook, dropping a rope down. Orgo initially is actually going to stay up to stay with Thane, who's paralyzed, and the dead bodies. But Nura yells out as Abbott is just starting to climb down. We've got company. I need you guys. And some drow show up. Oh, let's roll for how many? More drow. Oh, just one. Okay. Just one. Maybe she doesn't need help. So let's roll initiative between Nura. Well, I guess between essentially Nura and the drow, but also Abbott, who's climbing down. So Nura's got 11. Oh, the drow has the dex advantage, huh? I think the drow wins that because they are at least a +2 dex. So here we go. Here we go still. Yeah, drow dex is +3. So the drow wins the initiative, and I guess would shoot. That sucks. Let's go with this one since she's got a crossbow. Okay, so she's going to come running up, take a position behind this, and try to shoot, or I guess poison dart, Nura. 17's going to hit. We got trouble right away. It's a D4, but the real trouble, the real danger is the poison. Only 1 damage. Question is, does she sleep? And I think it's a high roll. DC 15 con or sleep. We do get a luck point back. Come on, Nura. I don't really want you to go to sleep. 17. All right. So she resists the sleep. She's great with the bow too. So what's going to happen is she will continue. She will. It's pretty funny, actually. She will post up behind 1-2, like there probably, and try to shoot. She doesn't have a high attack. She does have good damage if she can manage to hit. But on a nat 1, guess what? She ended the last session on a nat 1, which was like, okay, is she out of arrows again already? Now, my house rule for that, for ammo, is if you roll a nat 1, you're low. If you roll another nat 1, you're out. But she already had run out before, and then we had to get some from the Drider. So I was in between deciding if she was already low just with what she should scrounge up. But this answers our question because I had forgotten that anyway. So now she's definitely out. So she misses. Abbott needs to descend. He's got to make a strength check for grappling, for the grappling hook. He's really strong, so I think he can climb down just fine. I do think, though, that he's at half speed. So, easy check. He's just climbing a rope, so he's fine. He's halfway down the rope now, and he calls up to Orgo. You better get down here too. So now Orgo will make his way over to the rope, and Orgo has the sap. Can he throw? I don't remember the distance on that. We're not going to deal with that. So these guys are just going to be shooting at each other, I guess, from range. They're both better at range than up close. So she's going to shoot at Nura. Actually, should she turn her attention to Abbott? I'll roll for it. 1, 2, 3, Nura. 4, 5, 6, Abbott. So she keeps going after Nura. She hits again. Good God. 2d4. This time, 2 damage. Oh, that's funny. No, it doesn't have a ton of hit points. I guess what I would rule on the crit, because I usually do something special or whatever, is that she has to make the sleep save again, even though she's already made it. Usually I decide that means they're immune for the time being. 12, so she is going to go to sleep. Oh, I changed the character sheets. Okay, so Nura goes to sleep. And on that note, this drow is going to run over to her, but has already made its attack. Abbott can continue. Oh, he could double move. So he made it to the bottom last time. He made it to the bottom. He climbs at half speed, but since there was no attack and he's halfway down the rope, he can double move. So he made it all the way to the bottom, and now he's good to go. So he's going to charge in and try to protect Nura here. And he's going to attack the drow. Pretty wounded. Still, I think that's going to be a hit. Plus 6. D10. 6. Drow is not dead, but is wounded. And we'll make a morale save. Especially since she's flying solo. So she's going to book it. She's going to go double move. I don't really want her to get away because we don't know where she's running to. So Abbott's going to have to pursue. Orgo will make his roll to see if he can get down the... So it's a strength check. What did I say? DC? Yeah. Strength check, easy. So Orgo makes it down just like Abbott had. Abbott's going to run 6 and then throw an axe. Hopefully hit and finish up the deal here. 8 is going to miss. Son of a gun. I think she gets away. I think she gets away because I'd have to wake up Nura. I don't know what's beyond this map either. I hadn't thought this all through. So here's what I'll do, actually. She's going to keep running. She's now far away. Habit's going to try and chase with his stumpy legs, but he's now out of range to actually do anything. Orgo's going to run over, wake up Nura, because he can shake her awake, and Nura's going to get one shot with the longbow at long range. So I'm going to say this is pretty wide open down here. 18 is going to hit, and that'll kill her. So she's dead on the run. Interestingly, that was a random encounter. So I actually have a treasure check on that. So what do I do for treasure? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 means we have treasure? Nope. It was a lone drow, so that's fine. That makes sense. So they come back and they don't want to hang around too long, but they come back to check this out. And essentially what they determine is that this magic rune thing created this big hole that allowed the drow this. And this may be true. I'm curious now because, like I said, these maps came from some adventure that I haven't looked at, which is kind of funny. And with the green down here, when I saw that map and I was like, oh, this makes sense. Let's go with that. And I'm like, maybe it's actually supposed to make sense like that. But anyway, so we determined that the drow used this in some way to make this magic hole explosion that made it possible for them to get up. Now, how did they actually get up? This is one of the things I dropped the ball on. I should have checked if there was a ladder for Nura to get up, but I didn't, and I just made her try to climb the rocks, which wasn't very effective. She's not a good climber. So they need to climb back up. I think what we'll do is have Orgo climb first. I feel like climbing up would be a little harder, but not disadvantage, more nah, it wouldn't. It's still, you're just climbing a rope that's attached with a grappling hook to the edge. So Orgo makes it. He gets to the top. He can make sure the grappling hook part is secured. Abbott's down at the bottom. Nura would then go next. She's not an automatic like the others. 11, and she's a -1, so she's still good. Even Nura makes it. And Abbott will come up the bottom, and he's got an 11 as well, so he's fine. So we make it back up to our crew. Boy. And now I gotta see. I was not, even though I knew I wanted to roll a random encounter down there, I wasn't expecting it because it's pretty low chance. But I wanted it to be the danger is still there. So I guess I'm lucky it was just one drow. We could have lost another character pretty easily. Okay, so here's the deal with the bottom thing down there. And I should probably read the excerpt from the Terra Invictus if I'm on it. Oh, I'm not. Shoot. That is the bottom where we just were is at the Underdark or the Shadowdark, basically where the drow come from. Let's see, 30. Let's see if I can read this real quick. Okay. So this is what it says. This is what Terra Invictus says in the hex when we get through all the things and get to the dwarvish vault. The entrance to an ancient dwarvish vault is hidden deep in these mountains. So we're in the mountains. Shattered bits of the original stone door lie under the archway. The vault is overrun by several dozen drow and a drow priestess. Well, it says 2 drow priestesses, but I essentially just made it one. And oh my god, how overpowered is a drow priestess anyway? 2 of them we would have been dead for sure. That one was impossible to kill. They can summon multiple giant spiders, so that seems like that should be much higher than a level 6. The drow cut their own passage down beneath the lower levels so they connect to the Shadowdark. So that's why I did that. That's why I did this map, because I was like, oh, this looks like it could go down to the Shadowdark. And then that, with the magic, I don't have an explanation for how the magic works, but that they used some sort of magic to create this tunnel up from the Underdark into the Dwarvish Vault. And quite frankly, I think it may be something that they had been studying and planning for, because there's a war between the Drow and the dwarves. So they probably knew that they were tunneling up to a dwarven vault, which, because it says ancient, I'm kind of assuming it was no longer, like, they didn't come in and kill off a bunch of dwarves. Maybe they did, but my assumption is that they didn't, and it was already abandoned. Even still, our dwarves aren't going to be happy about that for sure, right? So we got some cleanup to do. We have bodies. That's one order of business. I think what's going to happen is my dwarves. So Thane, at this point, Thane will say, is starting to come back to, let's do some healing. Let's do that. Can Nura do any healing? She's got her herbalism check for, she can essentially do a potion of healing, I think. 11 is not going to be good enough. It's not bad. Yeah, she needed a 15. Her bonus isn't that good. And that's an INT. She does have a +1. Is there another one she needs to try and do? I don't think so. She could try to heal 1 hit point, which we may need, actually, but I'm not worried about that yet. Thane can do healing spells. So Thane's his first healing spell is gonna be on Abbott, if he can make his check. No, he can't. Wow. So we gotta survive without any healing. On that note, they will pass the pipe around. Nura, Orgo. Thane's kind of the strongest right now. He has the most hit points right now. Nura, Orgo. I'm going to try and protect Nura. I'm going to let Orgo take 1 puff. And Abbott's going to take 2. So Orgo's going to gain 3 hit points. And Abbott's going to gain... Oh, maybe I should just do 1, so I don't use the whole thing. Yeah, Abbott's just going to do 1. Ah, 1 hit point. Now he's got to do the other one. And another 1. Oh my lord. So Abbott's still really close to, not death, but he's down to less than 10 hit points. He's our big tank. Okay, so that's all the healing we could get done. Nura does still potentially have the 1 hit point heal herbalism. We are going to cut the big leathery wings off one of the giant bats that didn't fall all the way down. That's another thing I didn't talk about when Nura was down there, when we just had the 1 more. There would have been some bodies that had fallen down during the battle, right? So we're going to cut off the big leathery wings of the bat and roll up Krell and Renario in the bat's wings. And the big thing we need to do still is treasure. We definitely would have some treasure from this. This was kind of a planned battle where I knew we were going to have a big battle, but on that note, I think that the Drought Priestess would definitely have a treasure. I'm not even going to roll for, does she? It's not like she does. So let's do that one first. And that's going to be a D, let's see, a treasure 4 to 6, I guess? Yeah, treasure 4 to 6. All right, let's hope for a good one and hope for something that makes sense. 53, long sword with a fiery pearl set in the pommel. Okay. Kind of fun, not magical or anything, and I don't think it would be her treasure. I think that means one of the drow was using a special longsword. Wouldn't have necessarily been her. We also should get at least something else. So should I roll for each creature type? It's not like this would be a treasure hoard. So I'm still using the random treasure things, but essentially this would be all the treasure the drow have. And somebody asked a question about the map. I think they were talking about this map. So I'm going to talk about that real quick. It was Nick. So if you watch this in like 2 months when you get to this episode, I think he was just starting it, but he had watched the last one. But he asked something about that I was creating hallways or something. And so assuming he's talking about this map, because I'm not having this map extend where it would extend, right? These areas would extend, but I'm using this as a standalone map. I mean, otherwise I have this gigantic dungeon I don't want. So on that note, with these just being dead ends, I thought it made sense that these 4 spots you could move through. It was just like another stone block. Maybe it's painted differently or who knows, whatever. I think I didn't think that through totally. Like, should these have been walls? I was allowing people from these areas to shoot out into the open, but not necessarily here. So whatever. I don't know. I basically was playing like these 4 things were not walls. They were just paths. Anyway. Treasure. So we had bats, drow, and spiders. So maybe I make 3 more checks at 0 to 3 with the 50-50. That's what I'm going to say. All right. Because I do think we would find some significant treasure. So there's 1, no. There's 2, yes. So let's see. $31. A scuffed heavy shield with 10 gold pieces. We'll look something else up real quick. Okay, we got 1 more treasure roll. I wanted to compare with the other treasure chart I had. So no other treasure. So that leaves us just those 2 treasures. I'm going to have our dwarves do a sniff check because I think that the queen would have a stash of something around somewhere. So we're going to do another roll to see if she had anything better than what we got. 4, we do. Perfect. That's all you need is 4, 5, or 6. And it's not really special. Oh, that's funny. That's what we go with. This is what we're going to go with. A rippling green malachite gemstone. So they do find another gemstone, 15 gold pieces. Not too tremendous. No magic items, which is a little bit of a bummer. Maybe I should have given myself a magic item, but that's okay. We've also found a lot of magic items, I was noticing. So we are going to, as far as getting them out of here, I think Orgo and Abbott are each going to try and carry one of these characters. And as of right now, what would carrying a character be? Orgo has 4 slots open. Abbott has 6 slots open. So Nura and Thane. Thane actually has 8 slots open too. He's strong too. I forgot. So Thane, I'll have Thane and Abbott each carry a body. I think that's fairly reasonable. We're gonna make our way back up. And I'll do a random encounter check on each of the other 2 levels of the dungeon, but we're pretty much trying to get straight out. Second level and first level, good. We make it out. Our buddy, oh geez, I don't even remember his name. He might need a mini. We hired that guy to be our cart guide or whatever, or horse master guide. Good Lord, I'm not finding the right words for it. But anyway, we have a wagon. We're going to put the bodies and the treasure and stuff in the wagons. We have a bunch of extra slots for travel. We do need to travel, I think, just 1 hex. Is that right? To get back to where we want to be. I think we just have a 1 hex travel. We are Oh, I see why. Okay, so I got myself all sorts of turned around on this map. For some reason, I feel like I even played this in the past. Like we were 1 hex from Camadun, the dwarven city. We are not near there. We're not super far, but there are plenty of cities around where we are, but that is not one of them. So we are going to try to make it to a different city, not that one. Nura is going to be our navigator. So we're going to try and go, I think, 1 hex to the south. So we're good. So we're going 3413. We're going to go down to 3514. I'm not even sure we've been here. Okay, and this says for Kari. 3514 for Kari. Okay. Maybe we have a large trading town that used to conduct substantial commerce with Landeron. The sudden drop in trade has left the town with high supply, low demand. I do think we have been here. And really all we need to do here, we made it here. Maybe we didn't. We didn't do a random encounter at the previous hex. We got to do that. We got to do a random encounter at the previous hex, coming out of the temple. Jeez, what am I thinking? All right, so we're gonna go 1 to 3, gives us a random encounter off that chart. No, and then moving through the hex to get to this one, it would only be a 1. And there's another encounter. I'm gonna roll it on that chart. If it makes sense. And if it doesn't, we'll use something else. Oh my lord. Did we already have this? So, we're out in the wilderness, um, and from way up above us and we're in a dangerous spot, is a dragon flying high and looking for easy targets. So what we need to do here is roll a wisdom check, I believe, to be able to avoid it. So we want to avoid this. Obviously. 16. Okay, we're safe. So we just hide out, under a bush or a tree until the coast is clear. And then we continue on. And we finally make it. I keep making this harder and harder on myself. And that's okay. So what we're going to do, we make it to town. I'm going to cut some gold from our thing. I'm going to do some like housekeeping stuff off camera. We're going to rest up completely. And then I'll deal with this town. You know, whatever the next step is, finding a rumor. Let's do a rumor while we get here. So we get here and we'll do one rumor, which is usually what we do anyway. A 2. There's a gemstone mine in Makuza that is paying much of the war's costs. So I will track that. I got my rumors jar here. So, all right, we're going to call it there. This was kind of a down episode, a little bit less crazy, but we recouped. We're going to give, darn it, again, I thought I was totally thinking we were heading to Camadune, because I had a couple ideas what was going to happen, but whatever. We are going to give Krell and Renariel a proper burial, having gotten them to, back to civilization, but not before looting their corpses and taking all their magic items and putting them on our group treasure. All right, catch you next episode. I'm Bradu. Please like and subscribe and comment.